Hi everybody, I'm Mike Azier and welcome to my 2006 video commentaries. This is January and I've decided to sort of keep up the theme we had going last year. Last year, if you remember, we started with really economics in January, and as we went through the year, went through a variety of different financial instruments. And what I thought we'd do this year is build on that. And the topic I've decided to talk to you about this month, mortgage-backed securities. And I'm going to call this sort of my introduction to mortgage-backed securities, because next month we're going to build on this conversation by moving into some structured products, specifically CMOs. But let me get the ball rolling just with some basic background. When you hear mortgage-backed securities, what happens is there are various entities out there. The three big ones you probably hear the most about, you hear about Ginnie Mae, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac are the three biggest issuers of mortgage-backed securities. What each of them does is simply this. They take people's mortgages, 15, 30-year, fixed rate, adjustable rate, but they take these people's mortgages, package them up into these mortgage-backed securities. And I have to use the word here, securitize. That's what they do. They take the loans, the mortgages, and securitize them into an investment product. And I always have to tell this story. A few years ago, I was teaching one of my seminars, and I just sort of threw that word out there. You know, they take the loans and they securitize them. And this guy's hand goes up like Horseshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. Ooh, Mike, that word you just used, is that a verb? Which you can sort of tell, man. I don't sit here thinking about, verb, adjective, personal pronoun, and so forth. But yeah, it's a verb. It's the act of making these people's mortgages into a mortgage-backed security. And when you buy one of these mortgage-backed securities, you are, in effect, holding all of these people's mortgages. And another terminology that you might hear applied to these kinds of products, you hear referred to as pass-through securities. The terminology references the fact that Mr. and Mrs. homeowners still make their mortgage payment to whoever they make it to. Too often they think this bank or whoever it is that they're making their payment to is who holds their mortgage. But long ago, their mortgage was sold off into one of these pools. That bank who collects the payment, the proper terminology is they service that mortgage. They collect the payment, they escrow the property taxes, they keep the lien on the books down at City Hall. That's the servicer's role. And they get paid to do that. But what they then do is take that homeowner's principal and interest payment and pass it through. And ultimately that payment ends up in the hands of the investor who holds the mortgage-backed security with these people's loans in it. A couple things. Number one, last year we had our conversation about bonds. This topic is also a debt security. We have lent money to somebody. The difference here is we've effectively lent it to these homeowners. And when we talked about par value last year, the par value of a bond is how much that issuer, the borrower, owes you back. Same's true here with these mortgage backs, except that homeowners, in every monthly payment, there is some par, some principal already in it. Of course, also, homeowners have the ability to prepay their mortgage at any time, for any reason. The biggest reason tends to be interest rates, but people pay off their mortgage for lots of reasons. Sell their house, hit Powerball, get divorced, get transferred in their job, who knows? There's a host of reasons that can cause somebody to prepay their mortgage. But the thing is, as an investor in a mortgage-backed security, think about how much work that creates for you. At least with a bond, your par value was reasonably static. Now we're dealing with something where it's constantly moving around. I don't mind if you want to remember that, it goes down. With a typical mortgage-backed security, that's true. Your principal will start going down immediately. But next month or the month after, I'd like to get you into a topic where we might talk about a security where actually your par value can increase, like a Z tranche of a CMO. But anyway, that's the simple basics of a mortgage-backed security. Now, just a couple other things I want you to know. I'm not really oversimplifying, but in the United States, this is pretty much true. There's three kinds of mortgages. You have the government-sponsored programs. At the federal level, you've got FHA and VA loans. Ginnie Mae, all those names I mentioned, Ginnie Mae, they are the only ones who are actually part of the United States government. And from a credit perspective, Ginnie Mae's are held up in exactly the same credit light as U.S. Treasury securities. And the only kinds of mortgages that Ginnie Mae puts into pools are FHA VA loans. Now, a lot of people all over the world think, when they hear Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, think we're talking about the government. They're not. Both of them operate as government-sponsored enterprises, GSEs. They've been given the special status by the government, and with that status comes this implied guarantee that if Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac someday couldn't perform under obligations, that the U.S. government is expected to, well, they would step in at that point. The kind of mortgages that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac package are conventional mortgages. They pretty much have a monopoly on that market. When you hear this term, to go to our third kind of mortgage, so we've got government-sponsored stuff, we've got conventional, but now I'm going to talk about non-conforming loans. All that language means is the mortgages, for whatever reason, maybe it's just too big, your mortgage, maybe your credit is not adequate, the ratios don't work out, you don't conform to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac underwriting guidelines. Those kinds of mortgages end up in pools also, but end up in those pools that have non-governmental sounding names. Countrywide Mortgage, Green Tree Financial, Residential Funding, and a host of others. I've always referred to these as private label pools. So you've got Ginnie Mae, the government program. You've got Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the government-sponsored enterprise, quasi-agency program. And then you've got all these private label mortgage-backed securities. Now, to get it down to one simple thing, mortgage backs generally offer you amazing credit quality, very often offer you returns higher than you would expect on, let's say, a treasury security of similar maturity. But remember something, you always get paid extra for taking on some kind of risk. And here the risk isn't credit. The risk you're getting paid for is cash flow risk, prepayment risk. Just sum it up one way. Homeowners are always going to do the last thing you wish they would do. They're going to give you back your money in buckets when you don't want it, like when rates drop as they have in recent years. Well, of course, everyone runs out to refinance their mortgage. So if you own the mortgage-backed security, you're getting your money back in an avalanche. And if you don't have any use for it, you're forced to reinvest it at these low rates. Now, if rates were ever to shoot up again to 8, 9, 10, 11%, well, homeowners that have mortgages now would stop making any extra payments. Of course, you, if you own the mortgage-backed security, wish you could have all your money back now because you'd like to go reinvest it at these lower rates. At these higher rates. That is the risk you're being compensated for. You get your money back like crazy when you don't want it. You don't get any money back when you wish you could have all of it. I don't want to open a can of worms I can't close here, but that phenomenon I'm describing, the homeowner's always doing the opposite of what you want. In securities terminology, that's negative convexity. The biggest problem with mortgage-backed securities as an investment is the fact that they suffer from negative convexity. And that perfectly sets up our conversation next month. Because when we get into structured products, I'm going to sort of frame next month's conversation in a CMO, collateralized mortgage obligation framework. But once you understand how a CMO works, you can easily understand how a CDO works, which is a collateralized debt obligation, or a collateralized bond obligation, or a collateralized loan obligation. And also, with commercial mortgage-backed securities, they almost never just take a bunch of commercial mortgages and jam them into a pool like they do with the residential stuff. There's almost always some degree of structure. So that's what we're going to do next month. This month was just getting you ready, getting you up to speed on basic mortgage backs, and then next month we move forward. I don't know if this was ultimately a good place to shoot this video, but I'm always looking for just a change of scenery. This is last year, and that's why I'm back here. Last January's was filmed almost in the same spot. This stream runs right down my property. It's one of the prettiest places. I love just come down here and hang out and sit. And I brought you with me this month. So I hope your 2006 is going well, and I'll see you back here next month.